Hello, I want to show everybody my lightweight Ikea Hobo Stove cook kitchen. The whole stove system that I've got here, the whole kitchen system I've got weighs just what this can here that's full of fuel, this little Amazon cheap stove with the igniter that goes by a whole bunch of different names. They're real nice stoves, pretty lightweight, and this container here that it goes inside. Just these three items alone weigh what my whole cook kitchen system weighs. Let me show you what I've got inside here. This is my cozy right there. I got this is just a cheap aluminum pot. I've had this thing for years with the lid. I've got this little mesh basket. This is just one half of the mesh basket. I got this at Ikea also. And on here I've got a stainless steel wing nut and a stainless steel bolt with two regular steel washers. That container was like this one. It came in a pack. I got this oval one and a round one. The other half of this round one is on my sister's stove that I made for her. And I'll eventually find a use for this. I just haven't figured out what it's going to be used for. I keep my gloves in my cook system because I'm handling hot things and breaking up sticks with this, and I don't want to cause any unnecessary injuries. I've got a windscreen, a large windscreen that's made out of aluminum. I've got my kitchen towel that I'll eventually replace with a bandana because this is a nice towel. I've got my ground protector, aluminum right here. That always goes under my stove so I don't light anything on fire that I don't want lighting up. I've got some wax paper with newspaper wrapped inside to get my sticks going a little bit easier. Got my titanium spoon, the Snow Peak spoon, and I've got two stainless steel tent stakes. Now, how I put all this together and use it, I undo the wing nut here, take off one of the washers, set those down there, then I undo this bolt, I push it through that center hole there. Then what I've done here, one of these holes in the mesh is a little bit bigger. I widened it out so that I can fit this bolt through it, and it screws down on there. Like that. Then I get the washer, put it on there, and secure it all together with the wing nut. And I just get this wing nut finger tight. You don't want to over tighten it because I've had trouble getting it off before. And what that does, that gives me a base that allows oxygen to come up through the bottom of the stove. And what I'll do, I'll get a piece of this paper, tear off just a small portion of it, put it at the bottom of the stove, fill it up to about 2/3 of the way full with loosely packed sticks that are about the thickness of my thumb or smaller. I put the windscreen around it. And I light the wax paper. The wax paper lights really easy, gets the newspaper lit, and those will light up the little twigs that you've got in there. Then what I do, I get my tent stakes here and set them over on top. Hopefully without dropping them into my fire. That's what the gloves are for. And then I set the pot on top. The reason for that is to allow a little bit of an offset there so that the flames can come around the side. If you put it straight on the pot, or if you put the pot straight on the stove, what happens is it'll force the flames out the edge and it doesn't burn quite as efficiently. And then also with these, what you can do is if you've got a smaller pot, you can put these down on any of these holes there as long as they're level. Say your pot's this size, you can set it in there like that. Now of course you wouldn't use that as a pot. That would explode. Alright, another thing that these stakes are nice for is that once you get a fire going, say you've cooked and you've enjoyed your meal and there's a fire ring and you want to get a fire going, you can just go dump out your coals into the existing fire ring. This is also a great way to start the fire if everything's damp. Sometimes it's hard to get a fire going in damp conditions. It's really easy to get a fire going inside this hobo stove anytime, even with damp wood, as long as you've got a little bit of cheater paper to use, or any other, whatever your favorite fire starting method is that'll get some damp twigs going. You get a fire going in this, then you can get a big fire going somewhere else. And I prefer to cook over this than a larger fire because you can get closer to your food. It doesn't destroy your pot. It doesn't get as sooty and dirty. So that's one of the things I like about this stove. It burns very clean and very efficiently. Once your pile of sticks gets done shooting flames up, which when you first turn it on, first light it, the flames come up about a foot and a half out of it. But once they burn down for a couple minutes, you get just beautiful blue flames and red coals going inside here that are very hot. It's perfect for cooking on. So, after I get these on there, put those like that. Now you do want to make sure that these stakes, if you're using round ones, are secured up on the edge like that. And that keeps the pot from rolling. If they are down to where they can spin, and you put your pot on there and it gets bumped or twists the wrong way, it's very unstable. So always set your stakes like that, and then it's nice and stable. So let's say that everything's hot. I've got boiling water in here. I get my koozie, lift this up off the fire, set that down inside there, and I get the lid. Well, I add my ramen or dehydrated food, whatever I want to add in there, and I put this lid on. If it's ramen, it cooks in a minute or two, and this is mostly just for comfort. So you'd leave, you can put this on there, let it soak in the hot water for a minute or two. I don't leave the ramen in there very long when I do that, but this will keep everything nice and warm if it's cold outside. And when it comes time to eat, you can take it off. You can either do a double layer underneath like that while I'm eating it. This lid fits a little bit tight on there. So you can comfortably hold your pot and you can eat out of here. It's not gonna, your food's not gonna get cold as fast as it would without one of these cozies. These are awesome to build if you've never made one. Just get some of that heater duct tape. You can't see it on here, but it's aluminum adhesive tape that you stick to this and you just make yourself whatever fits your pot. So now I'm all done cooking, and I am going to do a video of me actually using this later, because nobody likes videos that don't show you actually using it. I definitely don't. But I'm going to put this back together, pack everything away, and later on tonight when the sun goes down, I'll make a video of me actually using this thing. I just probably won't go into as much detail about the specific functions of everything later. Right now I just want to explain the general idea, and I'll put links to all the parts that I used in here. So to put it back together, I put the head of the nut on the outside so that the wing nut can go to the inside of this dish. And I think I explained it earlier, but the whole purpose of this little mesh thing is to allow the oxygen to come up from underneath the fire. So this thing will burn very well all the way to the top holes. I have learned you don't want to overfill this beyond the top holes there. It just doesn't burn nearly as well. It'll burn just fine, but it gets less efficient. It gets smokier. So after I've got that put back together, I get my steaks and my spoon. Fold this in half. Wrap them up in there. Oh, gotta grab what's left of my mesh, or not my mesh, my wax paper and newspaper. Wrap those up in there so they're not clinking and clanging all around. That in there. Put my towel. That really should be a bandana. It's not good to use that one. Put these back in there. Nothing rattles around. Oh, I forgot one step. Before I do all that, I put my big windscreen in there. Then I put this stuff in there. I knew something didn't seem right. Then this sets inside my nested pot and cozy. The lid goes on. Flip the whole thing upside down so that I can put the soft side of my cook systems inside the bag. And I close it right back up. And later on tonight when the sun goes down, what I'm going to do is actually show this thing in action. Cook me some ramen dinner.